Okay, topic of today's lecture is International System, Introduction to International Relations class. Sergei Kostiaev speaking. What is usually meant by system? Again, interaction by entities, and they do this interaction according to some kind of rules. And there are many actors in international relations, such as corporations, various types of organizations, but most importantly, a state is the main actor in international relations now. And there is this common concept called nation states. So state usually has a bunch of characteristics, and first of one is some kind of control of particular territory. So United States controls part of Northern America, Russia controls part of Eurasia. Also military control on particular territory. You have particular military organization which controls basic military operations on this particular territory, and nobody else can like go in without any repercussions. And again, economic control, such as control of the currency. For instance, in the United States, you can pay with dollars, you cannot pay with Russian rubles, right? And another thing is there is bureaucracy, which makes sure that particular rules are actually enforced. One of the main characteristics of a state is legitimacy. So a rule by the government is recognized by people. Or sometimes it's not the case due to various factors. So sovereignty has a bunch of characteristics, and they are again, states usually recognize each other. For instance, after the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917, it took some time before the United States recognized Bolshevik government in Russia, but in the end it happened. So one of the characteristics of a state, other governments do recognize them as people who can exercise control over a particular piece of land. Another thing is that states de jure legally equal on paper, basically. And again, it's pretty common in the news when somebody does something to another country, some government, they say, you violate our sovereignty. It's our right to exercise our laws or our administrative procedures in our country without interference from other countries. So this is a basic concept. And this is what's important. On paper, states could be equal, but in reality, some states are more important than others. For instance, United States is more important than Canada or Mexico and stuff like this. And also, again, some countries have better developed bureaucracies. They're able to exercise their laws to like more extent. There's this idea of a nation, and it's usually a group of people who share some common characteristic, like common vision of history, sometimes common language, Yeah, so common language, single perception of history, tradition, symbols, these are common characteristics of a nation. Like the most pure form, you can see it in Japan or Finland or Germany or France or Italy, where most people are Japanese, Italians, etc., etc. Oops. In some countries like Iraq, you have multiple nations, multiple ethnic groups, and it represents a problem for the stability. Some of them disintegrate and some of them become still stable, like Belgium. Yugoslavia, one of the countries which collapsed during the fall of the communism 30 years ago. And the main reason, it had multiple ethnic groups which have been in conflict with each other. So another topic, origin of states. There are basic stages in which states evolved, and the most important, the most recent one, which resembles what we have now, is a city-state or kingdom, which is about 3,000 years old. The first time when the idea of sovereignty came into international system was after the 30 years war, and it was concluded by a Treaty of Westphalia in 1848. And at that point in time, states began to recognize each other. Oops. And this idea of nation state, it expanded most recently in the last 50 years. First, Europe was like the beginning of this, and then it spread through other parts of the world. And what some historians see, that there are three waves in development of states: United States and Latin America in 18th century and part of the 19th century. Then you have East Europe after the World War I, and you have Asia and Africa after World War II. I guess this particular slide, it was made by me. You have Europe, which developed nation states like in Middle Ages. Oops. And the last slide is that most land in the world is now covered by various states, and with the exception of Antarctica, every single piece of land is claimed by a particular state, which is exercising its laws on that territory. Those are like basic characteristics of a nation state.